What's up, friends and family of YouTube? This is Pastor Bob. So today I'm going to show you a couple little tricks, things if you want to upgrade your Squire a little bit. On the bench, I have a Squire Esquire by Fender. This is a Sonic. So what I did was, I did the frets. Look, I did all the frets. They look really good. See, they're all shiny. So that took me about an hour. And I do it with just this. I mean, I got so much experience of doing it. I mean, I don't need to tape the whole thing off. The only time I tape something off is if I'm going to recrown everything. Level it and recrown it. That's the only time that I actually tape it all off. There's no need for all that. Just take your time and you don't get too stupid. A buddy of mine had asked me one time, he said, "Wow, sometimes I get a little line across here when I clean it off," because he used the same thing as me, glass cleaner, right? So I tell him, I say, all you got to do is take a razor blade and just run it slightly across there. That's why you see that ever so slight line right there, right? I just slightly run it across there, and that's it. That's all I do. And those frets are nice. Now, another little tip and trick is I installed this bone nut. The other nut that was in there was cracked. You could just about see it. And I was like, is that a crack? And I look. So I replaced this and I put a bone nut in it. And then another thing that I do, some people might not do this, but I do. Slide this back real quick. I'll show you. Is I take the machine head knobs off. And if you look, the first washer to go on is the neoprene or plastic washer. Then you got a compression ring, okay? And then you have the knob itself and then the screw in the top. What I do is I have a light watchmaker's synthetic lubricant that I use, because you don't need it to be real heavy. And all I do is put a drop down in there and move it around a little bit, and that's it. That's all you need. Now on your compression ring, let me see if I can show you. There is a certain way that you got to put these on. I'll try to get it on my finger to show you. Kind of hard, but anyway, it's arched. Okay, so the compression rings, I don't know if you can see it better that way or not, but they're arched, right? So they go like this, make an arch, right? The arch part has to go up, not down. Remember that. So if you take these off, just remember that. You got to put the arch up, not down. And then always want to use a good screwdriver, right? I mean, that's just, if you don't want to mar stuff up, don't be using no cheap screwdrivers. Use a good screwdriver. And then what I do is I just twist it and it'll eventually turn, right? You see how it's turning? And then I just keep turning it until it meets, right? Now once it meets, then all I do is I just turn it a little bit. Now I want to feel a little resistance, right? I don't want to feel it tight. You don't want it super tight. You want to have resistance, but you don't want it super tight, because if you go super tight with them, you can crush that nylon washer. That's not the idea. That's why they have that compression washer on there. All right, just until it's flush, and that's it. So one drop of a synthetic oil, one little drop in each one. And then you'll feel it. You'll feel that it has resistance. It won't be loose. It'll feel like it has resistance. And that's it. Because if you over tighten them, what can happen with the change of weather and everything, you can break that washer and then it won't stay in tune. So if you're having problems with the machine heads, one thing that you want to do is look at those washers right there, the white ones. Generally, the compression washers don't break or go bad, but watch them. Oops, dropped you guys. Jesus, look at that. Sorry. It's all right. Shake it off. You'll be all right. Anyway, sorry about that. I was trying to get you up close. So that's what I do. I just try to get in there as, you know, you turn your back side up or right side up or whatever you go. I try to get in there and I put just enough synthetic oil that there'll be a little bit underneath. And that way, it allows that to not have too much friction on it and wear out your little washer and your compression washer. So that's why I do it that way. And then I do every one with a little drop. And that usually takes care of that. Now, let me show you what else I do. Down in here, some people like to use pencil lead down in there. You can use that. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But what I do is, every time you change a set of strings, I just use a little bit of this synthetic oil, right? Now, this stuff ain't cheap. I ain't saying it's cheap. It's about, I think, $18 for this, but it'll last you forever, right? Or you can use some regular clear beeswax down in there, you know. There's many different things that you can do. You know, pencils are cheap. You probably got a lot of pencils, you know. And you just put you put your pencil down in there until it's dark. Okay? But I use synthetic oil. Just how I do things. Okay? And then, on the top, what I usually do, I'll show you on this one, is I usually put a little drop on there of oil on each one of them, all the way down, and then I let that sink down in there, because sometimes what can happen is, after an extended period of time, it can get crusty down in there. So you want to make sure that it stays lubricated. Moisture will get down in there, it will get crusty, and if you ever have to take them off, it's just a pain in the butt. And it can lead to a lot of different issues. Marring up the headstock, breaking it off. I mean, I've seen it all. And when you tighten these, right, you tighten these down until it hits the washer, right, and then you just give it a quarter turn. That's it. That's it. You don't need to sock these babies down so that these sink down in here, because what happens is wood expands and contracts depending on the season. So keep that in mind. And then as far as your string tree, tighten it down to where it can just move a little bit, right? It doesn't have to be super tight, okay? That's not what you want. You can make it so that it just moves just a little bit. That's fine. And if you lose the screw taking it out, make sure that you put the right length screw and size screw back in there. If you don't, it can lead to headaches. If it's too short, it'll start ripping the maple or mahogany or whatever you're using for a neck, or you have for a neck. It'll rip it right out. So I'm just letting you know. Make sure you put the right size screw back down in there. And that's how I do that. Then another thing that I do is a step that a lot of people don't do. I'm going to show you. I'll just do it while I have it here. Is I take a little bit and I drop a little bit of synthetic oil down in there for your truss rod. Okay? It doesn't take but a second. And that 1 second, I'm telling you, it'll keep you from having headaches in the future. Because if it rusts down in there and then you put your Allen wrench down in there, it's going to take meat off, right? So what was once steel becomes rust. You stick your Allen wrench in there, and after a while, all it's going to do is spin. So all it takes is putting a little bit of synthetic oil down in there, just a drop, right? And then you can take some of your old string, okay? So I got an old string here. And then you put it down in there. Once you put that little drop down in there, and just kind of move it around a little bit. Okay? Or, another trick is you can get some toothpicks, and you can take the not toothpicks, but Q-tips. And what you do is you pull the cotton out, and then you twist the cotton, okay? And then you can stick that down in there with a little bit of oil on the end if you want to do it that way. And then just twist it around in there. Keep it from rusting. And trust me, all those little steps on any guitar, I don't care what it is going to keep you from having headaches in the future. And then another thing that I do, this guitar ain't set up yet, because it's brand new, is you just take and you put a little drop of oil in each one of the screw adjustments for the saddle, okay? And then just run a little bit of oil across your springs. Okay? Here's the thing. Some people might say, oh, well, I'm going to get a drip. I would rather get a little drip of oil on them than have them freeze up and have them become oxidated. If I can take these minor little steps in maintenance and setup and do these things, there's going to be a lot less headaches later on. Trust me. I've done at least 1,000 guitars in my life, and I can tell you, it's the little steps. And if you want to be fussy and you don't want that, well, that's fine. Then, well, later on down the road, somebody's going to be suffering because somebody didn't want to take the time to put a little bit of lubricant, a little bit of protectant on it. All it takes is a little bit. It doesn't take globs, you don't have to put globs on it. And pretty much that's it. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's not that difficult. There's certain types of electronic cleaner and lubricant that you can buy. I don't have it upstairs, but I use Deoxit. I got some downstairs, and then you just put a little bit of Deoxit on your potentiometers and on your input jack. And then you should be pretty much good to go. Simple, easy maintenance stuff, right? It's doing these little things that in the long run, see how I just put a little drop on there? Just a little itty bitty drop. That's it. It's the little things like this, the little maintenance tricks, that are going to save you from the headaches in the long run. Now, eventually everything wears out, but I'm just trying to give you some tips and tricks on how to make life a little bit easier. Okay? Now, a lot of people say, well, locking tuners are the best. Well, they may be the easiest, but they're not the cheapest way. So, all you got to do is, let me see if I got a piece of string laying around here. I might have one in this box over there. I'll show you how to do this. I don't know if you guys ever seen this or not, but I'm going to show you it. So, when you put your string through, okay, it's called the luthia's knot. When you put your string through, right? You wrap it around, back towards it, so you're going clockwise, okay? Make yourself a little bend. You see how that bend is? Because it's going to make it easier for you. I'm doing this one-handed too, by the way. Not that I haven't done it. God knows how many times I've ever done it. And then you bring it underneath, right? And then you bend it up over. Okay? You see that? Now, I'm gonna try to hold it with this hand so that you can better see this. So I'm gonna hold this with this hand. It goes over the top. You see that? See how it goes over the top right there? And that way, when you spin it, what's going to happen is this string is going to come down on top of the other string, and it's going to create a lock. You see that? It's going to lock that string. Don't worry about this because you're going to tighten that up because you're going to pull it tight. But it's going to tighten that right up. And the tighter you go, the tighter that knot's going to be. And it's going to lock it in. So if you don't have the extra money to put locking tuners on, or you don't already have locking tuners, this will work. Okay? It'll lock it right in there. And another thing, you got people say, well, I don't know how much to use. Well, I'm going to show you something I'm going to hold in my hand. What I do, right, is when I put my string through, right, I usually stick my finger up like this. I hold it with my thumb, right, like this. An angle. And that's how much extra I need. So once I stick that much through, that's how much extra I have to wrap around. That's how I do it. Okay? Some people, they put their pinky down and they pull it up to where it's on an angle. I'm going to show you that angle. See that angle? That'll be enough. Once you got a little bit hanging in there like that, once you got enough to make your knot, that's enough. Okay? And then once you get done and you got your lock in, then you just snip off the excess. Because you don't want a bunch hanging out. I've seen guys get the eye poked. Yep. Eye poked, lips poked, nose poked. Oh, yeah. Don't be having a bunch of excess, string hanging off the end. Just don't do it. All right. So those are a couple little tips and tricks for you. Hope it helps you out when you're doing your maintenance on your guitar. And I'm going to get going. I got things to do. All right, guys. Take care. God bless. This is Pastor Bob. And I'm out of here. See ya.